I would say my one big sort of takeaway from this chapter is the fact that Varys lets Shae use these tunnels, and now Shae knows about these sort of secrets in the Red Keep. I guess how does that ultimately play? How does that ultimately play in to the whole scenario? Because there's a lot of moving pieces here. Is Shae ultimately, the grand scheme of things, working for Tywin? Because like the fact that she shows up in Tywin's bedchambers at the end when Tyrion is in there, was she working with him the whole time? And if so, was she playing Varys? Or perhaps was she planted at that battle by Varys, knowing that Tyrion would make the decisions he makes?
Yeah, and also let's not forget that Tyrion was out for about a month. And while he was out, it seems like Varys had been keeping track. And he straight up says, well, who's spying on me? Who does my father have spying on me? And Varys said, well, me, little lord. And it's like, oh no. Obviously Varys has done a lot of positive things for Tyrion, so Tyrion thinks that this isn't that big of a deal. But Varys has had pretty much untethered access, or any kind of restriction on assessing Shae in the last month while Tyrion's been KO'd. So Varys continues to be a question. And you're talking about these secret passages. I think Varys lies in this chapter about some secret passages, if I'm understanding this correctly, because Varys says nothing would please me more, talking about bringing Shae to Tyrion's room. Said King Maegor wanted no rats in his own walls, if you take my meaning. He did require a means to secret egress, should he ever be trapped by his enemies, but that door does not connect with any other passages. But is that not the same egress that leaves from the castle that Tyrion takes at the end of the book and does have access to Tywin's room through that? I mean, right here, it says, so even when Varys is disclosing some secrets here, I think he is still withholding information from Tyrion. So we can't trust Varys as much as we would like to, I think.
Well, I mean, so there's a question. So when Tyrion does take this at the end, obviously through Varys's help, and here he's saying, no, there isn't actually there isn't a way to do it. Varys has to know that Tyrion is going to kill Tywin Lannister, which, remember, at the end of A Dance with Dragons, Varys is talking to Kevin Lannister. So one could make the argument, and he tells him all the stuff about young Griff and he's the real deal and everything. So one might need to wonder, is this whole thing, the whole Shae arc, done by Varys as a means to initially to sow dissent amongst the Lannisters, who he's going to have to take out. I mean, he's going to, for him to actually potentially fulfill his whole idea of bringing young Griff over, and whether he is or is not the real deal, to get that whole thing orchestrated, he's gonna have to take out the Lannisters. So I guess what I'm suggesting is, if Varys is the one who put Shae at that battle at the end of a Game of Thrones, so that Tyrion would meet her, and then he's gonna bring his whore to court, even after Tywin says no, maybe Varys knows. Maybe he knows that Tyrion is going to be the one who gets sent, because it's the only person Tywin Lannister can trust to actually run things, because he doesn't need Tyrion on the battlefield. And Tywin's going to have to be fighting this war because Jaime's now captured. I mean, it's like, it could be an ultimate scheming move from a character that we do believe is an ultimate schemer. We just haven't seen anything of this level. And then, hey, here's the secret passage. You can go kill Shae. Now I don't have to deal with her anymore, perhaps revealing any secrets about me, also killing Tywin Lannister, and now I can ship Tyrion off. There's even more dissent, because remember, the next thing that happens when you go into A Feast for Crows is Cersei's like going crazy. Remember, Cersei thinks Tyrion is literally hiding in the walls, and she's like starts torching
she's unhinged.
She starts torching rooms, and any secret passageway she can find, she just like burning stuff, because she thinks that Tyrion is literally hiding in there and going to come out and kill her kids.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to go all the way back. Like Shae ends up at court with Tyrion, and Varys says, "Oh, let's see what I can do with this." Like even if all that is organic to that moment, Varys could very well be changing plans on the fly. I'm 100% with you. I think he was sowing discord within the Lannister family. I think he intended to use Tyrion after he saw how capable Tyrion was as Hand of the King. And, if Daenerys and Fagon were to come over and then they had a representative from the Lannister family, and also a veteran of Blackwater Bay, the Battle of Blackwater Bay, it does smooth the transition of changing the throne over as well. So I think when Varys takes him through those secret chambers at the end of this book, I think he full well intends for what happens to Tywin. And I think he also knows that Shae is there for sure.
Okay, so let me just look something up here real quick. Okay, so Tyrion meets Shae in chapter 62. I guess what I'm wondering is, because remember, Varys is talking to Ned
in the dungeons. Yep.
So when does Ned die? Ned dies in an Arya chapter, right? Arya 5, I think it is.
Maybe.
Yeah, Arya 5. Okay, which is chapter 65. So it's not too far after. So what did I just say was the Tyrion chapter? 62. So Ned is captured before that happens. Ned is like in the cells talking to Varys before Shae shows up at that battle. So, and remember, Varys has a conversation with Ned about like, I think you should, give yourself up and take the black. Does he know? I mean, he looks super shocked. Obviously, you can't compare. It's hard to compare the show and obviously the books, and especially the book is told to us through Arya's point of view, so she's not like looking directly at, say, Varys, and it could be done for dramatic effect. But in the show, Varys looks like, he looks like surprisingly shocked that Joffrey actually goes through with having him beheaded. But in the book of Varys, he might think this kid's a monster, and he's going to do it anyway.
No, I'm a pretty firm believer that Joffrey's the only person that knew. I feel like it is such a wild card because it's such a bad move. Like it is such a dumb thing to do.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Now, does it play into what Varys and Illyrio are trying to do? Yeah, definitely. But I feel like Joffrey is the only one that knew that. That's my belief. I think Varys was genuinely surprised.
Yeah, I guess maybe because I guess that's the only way you could get it to be potentially that it was Varys who set up Shae from the get-go. Now, as you said, it could be organic, and once she shows up, all right, now he's got a different plan.
Yeah, I don't think Varys likes Tyrion at first. I think Tyrion earns Varys' respect, and there does seem to be like an odd friendship here. It's not full of trust, and they're both working towards their own means. But hey, Varys does save Tyrion's life and then send him to Essos. Now that happens to be exactly where he wants him to be for his plans to go over well. But he saves his life, and Varys risks his own life in a lot of ways because he's basically MIA in Feast for Crows. He shows up in the last chapter, but Cersei wants him brought in chains in front of her.
100.
And so Varys does risk some stuff for Tyrion. I think he believes Tyrion is a good person to have in the Red Keep, and I also think that he thinks Tyrion is worth it for the risk. So there's definitely some respect there.
Yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye. We'll just have to keep an eye on that because I guess I just wonder about that. Of like, Shae to me is still one of the biggest mysteries, and we'll never know. We'll never know unless it is ultimately Varys who did place her there, or perhaps he was.
Yeah, unless that was revealed in some like Tyrion Varys conversation in like the final book, right?
Right, that Varys has been like the ultra super master. The Grand Varys conspiracy is even bigger than we thought. But you would have to know that Varys would probably think that Tyrion could get in trouble for having Shae there.
Oh yeah,
and so here he is helping Tyrion see Shae, which he knows might cause chaos.
Yes, I think he's definitely a sower of chaos in the Red Keep for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised he is aware that Tywin takes whores to bed and then says, well, I got the perfect one for you, my lord, and brings Shae. Like, I won't be surprised if, like, maybe we don't get all the confirmation of where it started, but like him being like, I placed her in his rooms that night. Like,
right.
Maybe. And a lot of people think that Shae poisoned Tywin. A lot of people think she was working with the Martell. I mean, there's a lot of crazy things around Shae. I don't know if we'll ever truly know. And I think one of the reasons why we may never truly know is because when I read this chapter, one of the things that jumped out to me, I don't think there's ever a Tyrion Shae chapter, like where they interact, where he doesn't think of Tysha. And I actually think that Tyrion's relationship with Shae is more about his trauma from Tysha than it actually is ever about Shae. And especially when you read this chapter with all the context and the information, and you know that Tyrion is being played as a fool, it really comes home that, like, it almost feels like Tyrion wants to be blinded to how bad he's being used here. And, you know, you could argue that he's also using Shae as a means to getting over Tysha. But I really think that the whole relationship with Shae is actually more about Tyrion and Tysha and how that went down. I think if it wouldn't have been Shae, it would have been another girl. It would have been another, you know, camp follower.